Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Erin Lurie, and I am delighted to be here with you today um, for our virtual floral workshop. This is, of course, a beautiful time of year for flowers in gardens, and Hillwood's incredible gardens are no exception. Delighted to gather virtually, but I do hope that those of you who are in the DC area will visit Hillwood soon. We do currently require reservations and timed tickets, which help us ensure a safe capacity. Masks are required regardless of vaccination status. And we are really thrilled to be a resource and a respite in this time. So I do hope that you can come and visit us soon. Some quick notes about today's class before we get started. Amy is going to be I'll turn us over soon to Amy, who will make an arrangement. We'll go kind of step by step working together. Those of you who are following along at home may not be able to keep pace with someone who does this every single week and is a speed demon by now, but please make sure you submit questions or any thoughts you have through the chat. At any point, I'll make sure that we get them, and there will be frequent pauses where we can get to those questions. At the end of our demo portion, we'll invite all of our friends who have been working along at home to stay for my favorite portion of the program, which is the show and tell. Anyone who would like to be featured, please turn on your cameras. You don't have to turn them on right now. If you don't want to, you can just wait till you're ready. But we do love being able to see the arrangements folks have put together with the materials they purchased from Hillwood or what they found locally from other places around the country. It's now my pleasure to introduce Ami Wilber, who is Hillwood's floral and event decor designer. She has been with Hillwood for over 4 years, and we are delighted to be celebrating beauty this weekend.
Thank you, Erin. And with that, I just wanted to wish everyone a happy Mother's Day. I think that this is an exciting time to be out in the garden and also to just be, getting fresh air and being able to sort of return a little bit to normalcy. So this workshop I specifically wanted to do to really, think about celebrating the women in your life, celebrating all those special people who have gotten you to where you are, or if you're a mom or a grandma yourself, to have this moment to just be able to, appreciate everything that you have done for everyone in your family and the community as well. So with that in mind, I decided to do a couple of flowers that had special significance in terms of the meaning of them. So that was one of the things that I really wanted to think about when I was creating this workshop. So for those of you who got a list of the materials, the one thing that we weren't able to get in today were the sweet peas. There was a bit of a hold up having them shipped, but not to worry, we have other wonderful flowers as well. So the one thing I was thinking about was, whenever you're giving a bouquet or if you're receiving a bouquet, what is it that, besides the beauty of the flowers, the scent and everything, but it's also kind of fun to then sometimes have a little bit of the meaning of the flowers that are being either presented to you or that you're giving. So of course, we're going to start off with the rose, which is very traditional. A lot of people always associate a rose with love. I chose the pink rose because this one in particular, the color signifies gratitude. So I thought what's more appropriate than gratitude for one of the flowers that we have for today. The next one that we have is our lysianthus. And the lysianthus is symbolic for appreciation. So again, working off of that theme that I think works so nicely for today. And then the last one that we have for today is our stock. And stock typically signifies joy and happiness. So I thought like those three flowers, first of all, just the shape and the texture of them, but then also the significance of their meaning, I thought would make this arrangement even a little bit more special. So we're going to go through step by step, and I'm going to take breaks after each phase that I'm working through. Again, if you have any questions, just feel free to write them up in the chat, and we'll take time in between each thing to try and answer your questions. So today I have a ceramic little vase that I thought was kind of fun. I love the color of it and the shape, so that's what attracted me to it. And we are going to, of course, put our chicken wire into our container. This chicken wire is about 19 inches by 8 inches. I'm going to ball it up so that the ends connect. I'm going to scrunch in the sides. And then I'm just going to shove that into my container. The reason that we use chicken wire is we don't use any floral foam at Hillwood. This is a much more sustainable way to do flower arranging. The other thing that I like about the chicken wire is that your stems are going to be in water the whole time, which helps the longevity of the flowers. Okay, so once I have my chicken wire in my container, I'm going to use a little bit of clear floral tape. You can use any kind of floral tape. I just like the clear because then you don't see it. I'm going to make a cross with my tape. And then I also like to then run the tape around the lip of the container, just so that I know the tape's not going to pop off and the chicken wire will then be secured in there. So the next most important thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put water in my container. This is just regular tap water. I don't put any of the floral food in my water just because we don't use it in the mansion. But if you have that floral food, that little package, certainly feel free to go ahead and put that in there. It doesn't hurt. I just typically don't use it. So again, my container, my chicken wire, and my water. So now I'm going to actually start with the designing process, but I will stop really quick if anyone has any questions. Are we good?
I think we are good so far, but I will certainly give you a shout when we do start to get those questions in. And please, for all of our guests, do not be shy. Oh, excellent question. Smriti asked, what happens if you don't have any chicken wire?
So there are a couple of things that you can do. One, you can use Kenzie, which is a floral frog, which is one of those objects that have all the little pins in it. You could certainly use something like that. You could just do a tape grid across the top of your arrangement. Or the other thing you could do is you can always just kind of freeform it. The way that I'm going to do the arrangement, I always start with greens as my base. So you can actually, take that, even if you don't have chicken wire, and do a whole thing of greens. So that'll help support the flowers once you're going to put them in. So those are just a couple of options. I would definitely recommend, if you can find, the galvanized chicken wire, it's great because once you have it, you can reuse it several times. You can typically find it at craft stores or floral wholesale, and also at a hardware store as well. Okay, so I am going to start by greening. And today I'm going to be using a variegated pittosporum. So I have a relatively big bunch here. I'm just going to investigate all of the different pieces and see any of them have an interesting curve to them or shape that I like. And I found this one. And as you can see, it has a nice sort of curve to it. So I'm actually going to use that, and I'm going to put in two pieces that are going to be a little bit longer and a little bit taller than all of my other greens. And those are going to act as my sort of access points of what is going to be contained within that. So I'm not going to have any of my flowers or greens go up past these two sort of access points that I'm going to put in. I'm going to cut my petasporum down because, as you can see, it's kind of big and I have a relatively small-ish container. So I really only want to do about 1.5 times the height of my container. So I'm going to cut this down so it's a little bit smaller. I will say that the two sort of access points or architectural points are going to be the longest, and I'm going to start from the back slightly, and I'm going to rest my greens on the little lip of my container there. So now I have this nice one access point. I'm going to look for another one. Again, this piece of petasporum you can kind of see is doing a natural curving thing as well. So I'm going to take that one. I'm going to take off any of the leaves sort of at the bottom. I don't want any leaves to be in my water. And then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to kind of have it so it comes down slightly. So I'll have like a nice sort of U shape with my greens. I'm cutting everything at a nice 45-degree angle. And again, I'm kind of starting from the back because I'm going to just be doing a one-sided arrangement. Okay, so as you can see, I have my 2 points that I'm going to fit all the rest of my flowers into. Again, because this is going to be a relatively small-ish arrangement, I'm not going to go hog wild with my greens. I'm going to kind of be a little bit more conservative with my greens. And again, I'm cutting down my petasporum, so I'm not taking this entire branch and trying to put it into my arrangement. And I'm pulling off some of these bottom leaves. So I have this nice little piece here. And then I'm just going to kind of green from the back towards the front to give it a little bit of volume. And I'm cutting my stems, I don't know if you can tell or not, relatively short. So they're not super long. And I'm doing that again because I want everything to be sort of hitting the base of my container. And so that I can, really have it in there and make sure that it's drinking enough water. And now I'm going to be slightly moving towards the front with my greens. So you can see that I have I would say like about 50% covered right now. The other thing that I have, which I love, is my lazy Susan. So I can spin my arrangement around. So again, because, I have some relatively big open roses, I'm going to just green this much for right now, and that's going to be it. You can see the back. So the back still has, a little bit of green showing, so it's not naked back there. But when I'm looking at my arrangement now from the front, I've got like a good, 4 inches, I would say, of sort of open real estate here, right in this area, because I'm about to put my roses in there for the next phase. But first, does anyone have any questions before we move on with the greening? Again, I am keeping this on a relatively small scale, but if you're feeling like you want it to be big and a lot, more extravagant, you do whatever you want to do. I'm just doing it sort of a petite size here for today.
Amy, Jean asked how you change water when you have the chicken wire for the base.
So I typically don't change the water. I just add water in every day. But if you wanted to change it, you would just sort of lift it up and then gently bring it over to the sink and then dump it out. When all of your flowers are in there, depending on like how stable your flowers are in your chicken wire, will sort of depend if things get shifted or not. But you really, again, because it's relatively easy with the chicken wire, you can just hold it sort of over the sink and then just tip it. I wouldn't say that you have to replace 100% of the water. I think that you could do about 50%, and that would be fine. That way you don't kind of have all of your flowers start to fall out.
Terrific. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so like I had said, my roses are my largest flower that I am using today. So what I did was I got my roses in on Wednesday and I let them sit out overnight to open up. If your roses aren't quite this open, you want to give a little bit of room or space, because they will start to open up and you want to make sure that they have enough space to do so. One thing that I like to do with my roses, and something if you were buying roses from a wholesale or you're picking them from your garden, I always cut my roses underwater when I first get them in and I process. And what that does is it doesn't allow for any air to get into the stem. And so that way you have a little bit more longevity with your rose. But once it's been processed and it's already done that, then when I go into arrange, I don't cut them underwater anymore. That's just a little tip. Okay, so as you can see, this is a nice size rose, and I'm going to want to start, with a bit of a cluster here in the front with my roses. So I'm going to cut it at a nice 45-degree angle. And I'm going to place my roses in at an angle this way, so it's not going up and down. And that way you'll showcase the front of your rose, because you really want to see this part of the rose. There. So you really want to see this part of the rose. So again, I'm going to start also by using sort of this triangular patterning, which I'm going to be using odd numbers of flowers. So I'm going to take, 3 roses and sort of make a little triangle pattern off of it. And that way it'll give it a little bit more intrigue with the design.
Excellent. Amy, can you remind me what the name of that pink rose is?
I could, if I remember. Nope, it'll come to me.
All right, Jane, stay tuned.
It's on the PowerPoint that was sent out, the information. I know it's on the material list, what the name of it is. Because this one is, the thing that I like about this one is it has a little bit of like a tan, I don't know if you can see that or not, tan center.
Oh, you guys are all so good. Before I could even pull it up on our website, so many of our wonderful friends have chimed in that they are the pink Havana roses. Thank you all.
Perfect. Okay, so then I'm going to place this one back here slightly. It's a little bit long, so I'm going to take that down a little bit. I like to think of these roses as being friends, so that they're hanging out together at a little cocktail party. And then for the last one that I do, for the third one, I'm going to have her kind of sit back here a little bit. So I take off the leaves. I leave the rose leaves on actually when I'm processing, because it helps to bring more oxygen into the rose. So whenever you're at home and if you have new roses, always leave a lot of the greenery on as much as you can. That'll help also to just kind of keep it alive a little bit longer. But once it goes into my arrangement, I don't want too much of the rose greenery in there, because I have a lot of other things going on, so I'll pull them off at that point. So I'm going to want this gal to be back here. And again, I'm having them tilt sort of out this way so that they're facing with their open little faces forward. Okay, so if you can see from the back, it looks like there's a big empty space right here. But when you're looking at it from the front, you can still see this empty space back here. So I'm going to take a rose again, and I'm going to put her back here so that there's more sort of a volume to it. And it doesn't look like one of those little cartoon characters when you turn it to the side and it's like super flat. So there's actual more depth and volume. So even though you don't really see it, there's still that color block back there. And I actually have her facing sort of the back because maybe this won't be one-sided. Maybe we'll do it all-sided. Okay, but I have the majority of my sort of big flowers in. So what I want to do next is go in with my next largest flower. And that's also going to be the one that's going to give it a little bit more height and a little bit more volume as well, because I'm going to go in with my stalk. But before we do that, does anyone have any questions of what's going on so far?
I think we're all with you so far.
Excellent. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my stalk. And I'm looking at my stalk and I'm going to pull off some of these leaves that look like they have a little bit of, I don't know what's going on. But I want my stalk to be my next tallest element in my design. So I'm going to leave my stalk kind of long, and I'm actually going to have her, I'm going to break my own rule, but I'm going to have her come up past the greenery a little bit. The other thing that I like to do is if I don't know how short I need to cut my stems, what you can do is place your stem right on the counter wherever your container is, and you can look at your container and at the stem to know how much you need to cut off. So I know that I want my stalk to be a little bit shorter than this. So I'm only going to cut off a little bit of the stem because I know that I want to have the height with it. And so I know that, oopsie, this would be the height that I wanted because of measuring it from the base of the container to the top of the flower. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think it does. Okay, so I'm going to have my first piece of stalk here, and then I'm going to go in. And sometimes with stalk, I'll pull off the last couple of blooms just to give it a little bit of a fresh look. I'm going to go in over here with my stalk. And again, I'm going to do that same kind of triangle pattern with the stalk. So I have two here. So I'm going to put one right down in here. Just going to come out a little bit like that. I'm going to have a little look-see in the front. Okay, so I know I want to put another piece of stalk down here. So I have 4 pieces right now, and I'm going to do my 5th piece right I think I'm going to do my 5th piece out this way. Like so. So I have this space like right in here, and I think it would be nice to actually put in another rose. But I'm going to nestle her down pretty far in here. So if you can see, there's like this little hole right here. I'm going to then really wedgie that in. It's going to be kind of short. I'm going to take off all of the leaves, and I've cut it relatively short, as you can see. And she's going to go right down in there. And so this one I think is a little too short now. So I'm actually going to bring her over to the back. So I got these 2 back here. And because I put this one in nice and short and kind of tight into it, I want this one to be out a little bit long. So I'm going to bring. So I love these pink Havana roses, but they have all these little thorns. Some of them are on the leaves, so just be careful if you got those. They're a little, got a little bit of attitude. Okay, so again, I want this rose to come out just a little bit more like that. So I'm going to cut it a little bit longer than I did the other one. So it's like that. So I'm happy with my rose and what's happening with my stock. I might actually go in with a little more, with one more thing of stock right down here to fill that little hole right there. Yeah. Okay. And then I'm going to finish actually off the stock. Well, I think I'm going to leave it like this for right now. Okay, so I have in my, move this back over the center. I have my stock, and I also have my roses in. How are we doing?
No questions so far, but I just want to say I love it when I see you kind of change tacts throughout and getting to watch you make the decisions on the fly is always really fun.
Well, you know, it's one of those things where I always have something in mind that's going to happen, and sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. So it's again, that's the I'm going to reinforce my love for chicken wire is the fact that I can kind of, you know, maneuver things and pull things out, put them in and put them in different places, and it's still not affecting the integrity of the structure. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to then go in with our lysianthus. So the one thing about lysianthus that I like is that you can really separate out and break down the lysianthus. So I've pulled off this one long kind of stemmy one that's just in bud. And now I'm left with 2 nice open blooms. So I'm going to cut this one. So now I have a single bloom, and then I have this one. A lot of times I don't want all of this going on all in the same place. So I like to cut off these extra blooms. And like even this one, I just want it to be this one bloom with this one bud. So now I have these little bits of lysianthus that I think is a little bit more manageable to use. Again, this is for a smaller arrangement. If you're doing like a really big mammoth arrangement, you might not want to cut them down like this. But I like to always just kind of have them separated so that you can really let each bloom do its own thing and shine. So I'm going to go in because these are my smaller sort of wispy or gestural elements. And these ones are going to stick out just a little bit further from the rest of the flowers. And they're going to give the sense of just sort of filling in and really kind of making it a little bit more special with the rest of these flowers.
Amy, Smriti asked whether you would do the same thing to kind of divide stems on lilies, which she used as a substitute for the stalk.
Yeah, I would. I would do that as well. Again, like depending on the size of your container, sometimes you don't want to have like just like a big chunk of all one flower. So if it's easy to sort of like split them down, by all means, I would do that.
I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned from you is that you refine and work with the natural shapes of the flowers, but that doesn't mean that you leave them untouched. That yes. Dividing them and shaping them to be what you want is a key part.
Yes, I think it's great to use things in their natural state, but if you need to slightly alter it to fit your aesthetic or what you're doing, then that is even better. So again, as you can see, I'm going to break down this lysianthus. And I'm just going to start to fill in with the lysianthus. So I don't like that these three are all on the same plane. So I'm going to take this one down a little bit. That. I'm going to keep, again, breaking down my lysianthus. Again, I don't want it to look super flat, so I'm going to put stuff in towards the back to give it a little bit of color back here. Oopsie, I broke that. And a little bit of depth.
And Amy, Katie just asked whether the lysianthus will open up more and whether the still very tightly closed buds will start to bloom.
They should. They'll you'll notice that there'll be a much lighter shade than whatever it is that you have. Like these dark pink ones, these small little ones, you can see right now it's only like a sort of like a blushy pink color, and it's going to stay that color. It's not going to darken up like these other ones, but they will open. And then over here. And I think I'm going to keep this one because I'm going to keep it towards the back here. I don't like how up and down this one is, so I'm going to move it at a little bit more of an angle. Like that. Okay, so I have a couple more stems of lysianthus, and I'm just going to keep going in. sort of filling out the rest of the arrangement. I'm going to put this one a little bit lower so it's in there.
Amy, with some of the roses, Jan asked if it is all right to remove some of the outside petals if they're slightly torn or starting to turn a little brown, just on the very tips of those outside petals.
Sure. I don't ever, just because I kind of like the way they look when they start to unfurl and they're a little bit brown and kind of, wilted looking. That's just my personal aesthetic. So that's why I never pull any of them off, but I definitely could understand why. Like if you're going to be doing, like a wedding bouquet or something like that, or you just want it to be a little bit more refined, you would definitely want to go in and take off sort of these little leaves that are turning brown there. All right, so I'm just going to put in a couple more lysianthus. I have a couple of buds left that I'm going to put in towards the back. And so I don't like what's happening right there. It looks like a little alien coming out. So I'm going to just snip that gal off. I like having the buds sort of in more towards the back area, but not really up here in the very front where I'm trying to showcase the roses. I'm going to go in. Another one. Like that. I'm going to snip off that right there. So I have a lot of these little buds left. I don't know if I'm going to use all of them or not. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not feeling these little teeny tiny ones today. So I'm just going to use these other ones. All right, so I have one more stem of lysianthus that I'm going to use. Then I'm going to go in and have a little look-see-loo at the bottom and all the other edges of the container to see what it looks like. Like that. And I don't like this one little area right here that looks a little bit naked. So I'm going to take put this gal right there. Oopsie, wrong way. Like that. I just have this and this. Let's see if I'm going to use these or not. Like that. Let's see. Put this one right here. Like so. And then I'll put down here. Okay. So I have filled in with all the flowers that I have available to me. And now I'm just going to kind of have a little look-see. And I can notice that this bottom part looks a little bit naked. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to take my pittosporum. I'm going to cut them nice and short. I'm going to go in the bottom. And I don't see the lip of my container.
Amy, we just got a great question from Barbara,
Mhm.
who says, you always remind us that the tulips will keep growing after we create our arrangements. Is anything we're using today going to continue growing?
No, it shouldn't. If it does, let me know. But typically the flowers that will continue to grow are bulb flowers. So you'll find like hyacinth will still continue to grow, fritillaria, tulips. But these ones all typically, especially the roses will continue to open slightly and get a little bit larger that way, just in terms of volume, but not in length. And again, like the lysianthus, like the buds should start to open, but not lengthwise, but just a little bit in volume. So what you see is kind of what you should get. So even the back area, I want to, I don't want it to be completely naked back here. So I'm going to put a little bit more pittosporum back there as well. And then I'm tucking in, I don't know if you can see what I've just done. I'm tucking in some of these areas that when you look at it from the front, you see a little bit of space. So I want to kind of put some stuff in there so you have a little bit more volume and depth when you're looking at it from the front. So even though it is the back, I'm still adding things back there so that it still has a little bit of volume. Okay, so I think, right now I just have one little bald spot right here, and then I should be done. Okay, so let me see how I should do this. Ooh. I'm all finished with my flowers and my greens. I'm going to hold up the magic curtain so that you can get a better sense of what it looks like on a not busy background.
I love it.
And just for, for scale, you can see it's not super huge, but again, it's about 1.5 size, the size of the container. Oopsie, it's a lot of water. That's the back. But yeah, so not super huge, but has a lot of volume and I think has a lot going on. It also has a lovely scent to it. So with that, I would love to answer any questions that you have right now.
Amy, it looks so sweet and charming. I particularly like the pinks with the blue container.
I really wanted to do something in terms of a nice sort of feminine color palette today, which is why I also limited it to just pinks and whites, because I knew I had this really fun blue container. Had I not had the blue container, I might have added in one more element of color into the arrangement, but I feel like the blue in itself acts as, a color palette within the arrangement as well, which is why we kind of just stuck with these. And again, I was thinking I wanted it to be sort of nice and feminine for celebrating women.
Well, as Amy said, that kind of brings us to the end of the demonstration portion. So I know folks are working busily at home, at least the folks who have their cameras on. If anybody is ready to share their arrangement, please just give me a wave and we'd love to invite you on screen to show off your good work and ask any questions of Amy that you might have. Oh, we've got one taker. Add
1 second.
Terrific.
Let me move these cushions away because they take away.
It coordinates very nicely.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I have blossoms.
Yes, those are absolutely gorgeous. And I like the pink roses that you have as well.
Yeah.
And I like that you
them.
stuck to the limited color palette.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
How do
then
you
I
feel
have
about
at the back, I have like, I copied it.
yeah. It's lovely. Absolutely lovely.
Trying to do the other one, but still in the process.
Oh, very ambitious to do too.
Thank you. How can I improve? How can I improve this one?
The
Can we
second
bring it
one
back
or
on?
the one that you finished?
This one I finished.
I think it looks beautiful. I wouldn't do anything to it.
Okay. The shape is like, it's coming like a oval shape.
Yeah, so I really like the sort of dramatic effect of having, you know, the branches stick out from the arrangement, and you know that it really does create like a nice swooping line, which I always think is very visually interesting. So I personally wouldn't do anything else. The other thing is that your roses are going to open up a bit so that you'll have a little bit more volume towards the base later on.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. I'm going to ask Barbara Connor to come on as well.
Thank you so much. And Amy, thanks for answering the question about the tulips. That's always been exciting to get a totally different arrangement the next day.
Oh, I know. And they're always like facing a different way too. So you're like, okay.
Absolutely. So I was just like, what here could move? So I don't know if you can kind of see this. But I really am always challenged with symmetry. I know you like the lines that go. So I did a little bit of that today, a little out of my comfort zone with like one side of it goes up a little bit higher.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
I'm stretching and growing through your classes. So thank you for that.
Oh, good. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. I like that you are really playing with that sort of angular and having that nice curve come up off of the side of it. And then the clump of roses at the bottom to sort of anchor it down.
Yeah. Thanks
Wonderful.
again. It's great.
Thank you.
All right, it looks like Elizabeth Odom is almost ready, though I see you are making some finishing touches.
I love the background.
Oh, you are still muted, my friend.
Yeah, this is interesting story. We lived in Italy for 3 years, and my daughter was born in Soave, and that is Soave. It reimagined like before it was a ruined castle.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
Okay, so I put in more. I can't. It's like there were like 4 roses left over, and I felt bad for them, so I incorporated them into the. See if I can pull it back just a little bit.
Definitely. That's one thing I was gonna say. Like whatever amount of flowers you have, put them all in. I typically just limit it just because if you don't have that many flowers, then this is how the arrangement's going to look. So that's why I typically just limit the amount that I put into it. But by all means, our saying here at Hillwood, more is more. So the more you can get in there, the better. I love like how full that looks. So it's fantastic.
And then I tried to do it so that the backside also looked.
Wonderful.
So the backside's got a little bit more of those tall ones because that's back.
I like that one.
And then
It's very gentle.
Yeah, I love it. It's beautiful.
it was fun. This one, I really like this one.
Good.
I muted myself there.
Oh.
I'm used to telling other people they're muted. Trisha, tell us about your arrangement.
Well, I couldn't get stock. No one they're all hoarding it for Mother's Day. So I used bellflowers.
Oh, that's
Nice.
perfect. Yeah.
The lysianthus I could not get, so I used carnations. And I actually had a few azalea bushes that actually got to bloom. The deer didn't eat, so I went out and got some of those. And I have a couple of peonies stuffed in here too.
Well, that's wonderful. I love the fact that you were finding different things, but still keeping really within the same color palette. And even though it's not the exact flowers, I think it's beautiful. And I think that you did a really good job with figuring out how to substitute what you needed to. And
Okay, thank you.
Lovely.
Enjoyable, loved it.
Good.
Julia, you've been doing some excellent camera work there, which I appreciate. One of the things I think we've all learned over the course of the last year is how challenging it can be to get just the right shot. But you framed your arrangement beautifully for us.
Good, good. Well, I, along with Virginia Kane, we did not register in time, so we got our supplies at Potomac Floral yesterday.
Oh, good.
And we could not find the lysianthus, so we used the in the right color. So we used the carnations, which are kind of a magenta.
Yeah.
And we also could include we were able to get the sweet peas, so those are in there too.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad someone found sweet peas. These are not easy. I love it though, and I think that again, like the substitution that you made is fantastic because it's still, it's the shades of pink, but it's a nice contrasting choice of the lighter pink and then the darker pink as well.
Right.
Yeah, and I love the movement of it. So excellent job.
Good, thank you. It was fun.
Thank you.
Sarah and Molly, can you join us?
Oh.
We got ours from Hillwood, so we worked along with all of the flowers provided. We made ours much larger and fan-like.
Yep,
but
I love it.
it was a lot of fun. Very new to flower arranging, so learning a lot about how to do it.
Oh, well, I'm so glad that you're joining us, and it looks beautiful. So you wouldn't ever be able to tell that you were new to flower arranging, that's for sure. Gorgeous.
Right, Maura, can you share your arrangement with us?
I will. First, I want to say I love seeing everybody's arrangements. Everyone is so creative. So everyone has like their style. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So this is my second workshop. And so I'm definitely diving into my creative side. And this here, what you're seeing is my backside, which I think came out better than my front side. So anyway, and I too used all my flowers like some of the other people did. So
yeah, no, I think that sometimes when you are doing an all-sided arrangement, like what you think is going to be front, you're like, you know what? I think I like the back better. So yeah. I've totally been in that situation as well. But I think both sides look fantastic. And I'm glad that you used all of the flowers because it is, you don't ever want to just like have like one or two extra flowers just sitting around unless you can like put them into a bud vase or something. So I'm glad we got all of them in. I wasn't sure that we'd be able to get all of them in actually, but I'm glad to see that people have been able to like get them all in there. So great job.
Thank you. Thank you. And happy Mother's Day to everybody.
Thank you.
Hey. I've been dying to see your lilies.
Oh, I think that looks beautiful. Yeah. And so the other thing with the lilies is, they'll start to open up as well. So it'll start to fill in that space that you have right there. But I think that'll be fantastic.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it with the leftovers.
I think you can do a whole nother arrangement with all those.
There we go. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's wonderful.
Jenny, can you share your arrangement with us, please? Let me see. You are muted at the moment. There we go.
I'm not as good on camera work, but I will try and show you. As Julia mentioned, we went to Potomac Floral. And let me tell you, it was wild the Thursday before Mother's Day.
Yeah, if you've never experienced that, it is something, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But we also got kind of carried away, so there will be additional arrangements that are made. But yeah, I was pleased with the flowers. As Julia mentioned, we substituted the carnations to try and get the right color.
Yep.
And so that's what we want to go with. And yeah.
No, I think it's lovely. And did I see that you had azalea in there? Or no?
No, I didn't. I could put azaleas in. I have them here, but no, we had a couple of kinds of roses, and then the carnations and sweet pea and stock. So.
Oh, I thought I saw azalea in it, but I mean, I think it looks fantastic. It's beautiful.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, both getting the flowers as well as putting them together.
Well, I'm glad that that was fun for you and it wasn't a traumatic experience.
No, but we did think that we would go back another time that wasn't right before Mother's Day.
Yeah, that I would highly suggest that, just so you can get a different sense of what it's like to go to the floral wholesale instead of, the day before Mother's Day.
And I do love, we are getting some nice love for Potomac Floral in the chat.
Yeah.
Talia, can you share with us those beautiful arrangements?
Thank you. I'm here with my mom. This is our Mother's Day celebration. This was fantastic. We had a lot of fun following all your guidance and putting together these bouquets. Thank you.
Well, those look beautiful, and I'm so glad that you got to do it together. That's, I think, a lot of fun. You can
special.
Share it. Yay! Wonderful. They look gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thanks. Aria, I'm going to ask you to come on and join us.
Here's my flower arrangement.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I used all my roses.
That is wonderful.
I used all my flowers, but not all my greenery.
Well, the flowers are the more exciting thing anyways, so I think it looks absolutely wonderful.
Thank you. Louder. Thank you for this flower design. I really like it.
Thank you. I'm excited that you're joining us today.
Right, Althea, if you can unmute and share your arrangements with us.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. We have 4 of us today.
Oh.
I think first, you two over here. Yeah. Christine. This is mine. And that's Jennifer's.
Oh, gorgeous.
Gorgeous. And then we've got Anne over here. Hello. Let's see. Where's hers?
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Doesn't it look good on the other side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Althea's is fab.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That's the front, but I ended up making it 2-sided because we have so many flowers. So.
That's perfect. Yeah. Gorgeous.
Yeah. So
lovely flower choices.
I liked it. I was sort of sad about the sweet peas, but the lysianthus works fine too. Yeah.
So if you can find sweet peas, throw them in there at the end.
I had some, but the rabbits ate them all in my garden, so there's none left. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Nancy, would you like to share? I'm going to add you to the stoplight. You are a little dark. It looks like you're outside and maybe a little cloudy there.
You're also on mute.
Better?
Yes.
Okay.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Happy Mother's Day. It's exciting to do that.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's a little dark, but I can get the gist of it. It looks gorgeous. You use snapdragons.
Yeah, snapdragon.
Nice. Excellent. And are those lysianthus or are those carnations? No, they're lysianthus, right?
Lysianthus and pink roses.
Beautiful.
And I don't know what this guy is over here. I forget. Is that stock maybe?
Phlox.
Phlox. That's exactly what it is. Yep.
Great. You can even tell if it's dark.
Yes. Phlox is clear.
Yeah. It looks gorgeous. You'll have to send me a picture when a little more light.
I will. What a fun Mother's Day for me to do that with you.
Very nice. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Thank you.
All right. Well, I think I will wait for a few moments, see if anybody else wants to turn on their camera and show, but I think I have gotten to everybody who is on right now. If I've missed you, please wave frantically to get my attention, because this is my favorite part of every program. I love that everyone creates such beautiful arrangements and that they end up being so different, and that you are so generous to share not only your arrangements with us, but your homes and your spirit. It is so, so lovely to be able to connect this way. Trisha just asked a great question about whether instructions were sent out. There should have been a PDF attached to your message today that kind of walks through briefly, and I will make sure that that gets out to everybody after the fact too, since I'm guessing you're asking because you didn't see them. So I will send those out to everybody by email later this afternoon. Oh, is Nancy waving?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
And our June workshop is already up online as well. And that one's going to be fun. We're going to do roses. So it's going to be a focal of roses. And I think June is the perfect time to be doing roses because so many roses will be in bloom at that time as well. So hopefully you'll be able to go out to your own garden or go to a garden center or farmer's market and be able to find some lovely actual garden roses. But we'll be using, you know, the ones that are produced in a greenhouse that we know will last for a while as well. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. And yeah, I think, I don't know what the color palette will be yet, but I will figure that out soon.
And as Amy mentioned, that is available up on our website. We'd love for you to join us if you're interested in purchasing materials. They have been selling out for the last few months, so I encourage you to do that on the early side if you are here in the DC area. We will continue to share materials lists, and one of the things I really love about the virtual programs is that we do get to see so many of you who are not in DC and get to see different substitutions and great arrangements with different blooms and different colors sometimes. So thank you all again for joining us. I do hope those of you in the region come and visit us. Yeah, and Maura just pointed out the materials are not listed yet for June. As Amy said, she's working on the color palette for those, so we'll add the details as soon as we know what we're going to be able to get our hands on from the wholesalers, because we have been having some things like bruised sweet peas, and we're trying to work as far in advance as we can, but also make sure that things are actually available. So that will be updated on the website as soon as we know. But I believe that you can purchase the materials. You just, right now, they're a mystery. So anybody waiting to take that leap of faith, I perfectly understand, and we'll update those as soon as we can. For those of you who are in the DC region, I want to invite you again to come and visit Hillwood. We are full this weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. Our reservations are booked for the whole day, but you can plan your visit now for future dates. Make sure that you are one of the lucky ones who gets the beautiful weekend weather next weekend. And I mentioned earlier, we've just updated our mask policy. So those who are vaccinated are welcome to drop their masks outdoors as long as they're not near a crowded spot. Indoors, we do ask everyone, regardless of vaccination status, to keep your masks on and help keep everybody safe. Thank you again for joining us. It's been a wonderful way to start the weekend. I want to wish anyone out there celebrating a happy Mother's Day, and I look forward to seeing you all in June.
Happy Mother's Day, everyone. Thank you.
Great as always.
Thank you.